Happy Canes Day, and have a good night. As the Canes win 26-7 to the Florida Gators at Hard Rock Stadium, and not even close. It's over. We are not going to discuss who's better no more. I don't care if there's a bad coach. I don't care if there's a new quarterback. And I certainly don't care about the defense and the O-line and everything else adjusted. I don't care no more. The debate is over. The Canes are a clear and superior team to the Florida Gators, and they are not going to be compared ever again. The trash talking stops now, because anytime you trash talk the Canes, we're always going to back it up with we beat your ass twice, 2 years in a row. And boy, oh boy, during my years of contributing to a company that I did, I suffered the worst of it. Somebody needs to put a wellness check on that fella. That's all I'll say. I do not care. Screw the Gators, respectfully. Go motherfucking Canes. As they win 26-7 at Hard Rock Stadium, sold out Hard Rock Stadium, may I mind you, as they've done a job. They've done their job. There were some pretty fishy moments, I will say. I'll tell you what, though. The running game was awesome. The passing game was a little bit weird. I thought the passing game was not that good tonight for either side, but needless to say, they're able to get the job done. And it's all because of the defense. It starts off with the Gators ball. It's an automatic 3 and out. An automatic 3 and out. And Canes get the first drive, their first drive. And the passing game was actually pretty good. You have Mark Fletcher with 13 yards. And a couple of plays later, you have a 22-yarder to Shamar Brown, who, by the way, he had an awesome game tonight. Shamar Brown, he was awesome. Another 4 yards from Shamar, and he runs it in for a touchdown to make it 7-0 Canes. That would be the only touchdown of the first half. And that was the Canes' first drive of the game. Since then, it was a punt, another 3 and out against the Gators, which was awesome. And this drive took 16 plays for the Miami Hurricanes. That goes through the first quarter. Very long drive. A couple of few passes to Elijah Lofton, and a few, mostly running plays from Shamar Brown. Shamar Brown is running the football. One of those is a 12-yard rush. That was a third down play. Then an 8-yard pass on 3rd and 7 to Malachi Tony. And then 4-yard rush after the false start. Carson Beck gets sacked by Jaden Woods. That was I don't know what was that play. And it was an incomplete pass. There were some close plays. Carter Davis with the 53-yard field goal, and that goes right through the middle. A good kick by Carter Davis. This is one thing with him. He's coming from a school from Boca Raton. That was Florida Atlantic University, the Owls. He was not a good kicker. But then he went to the Canes. He became a better kicker. And I said this with the Dolphins. Because of good coaching. Good coaching and good development is the key difference in these type of situations. And one of the big reasons why his career shifted into the positive direction is because of good coaching and the good development that the Canes have that FAU seems to don't have. And that's shocking to me, because FAU has a really good sports program there. But then again, FAU has lost to FIU. But that's a different story for another thing. I'm going Zach Company's talk. God, I missed them. Florida Gators. 7 plays resulted in the punt. It would just result in the punt. In our first punt of the game from the Hurricanes, it was a pretty bad penalty against the Hurricanes. Was it the Hurricanes? No, it was a Florida hold. I'm sorry. The 20-yard rush from Mark Fletcher, but the result was a punt from Dylan Joyce. So that ain't good at all. We keep forcing the punt against the Gators though, and again and again and again. One of those sacks, one of those 3-and-out possessions against the Gators, DJ Lagway was sacked by Jacoby Thomas. And I mentioned Jacoby Thomas. His celly, you recognize that celly? I do. If you guess Ray Lewis, then you're correct. He did a Ray Lewis celly. Oh my God, Ray Lewis, the beast. I freaking miss Ray Lewis. And I'm so happy he had the 2 rings with the Baltimore Ravens. Man, he was such a good linebacker, the best. He did a Ray Lewis celly. That's awesome. It really is awesome. The next CANES drive was a good drive, but ultimately ended in a field goal. But we still get some points. There was a 16-yard pass to Malachi Tony, a darn good pass. And 2 in a row was a 9-yard play. A 9-yard rush by Jamar Brown, and a 9-yard pass to Jamar Brown for 9 yards. Back to back. Then a couple of plays later, 17-yard pass to Elijah Lofton for 17 yards, which was awesome. But we were losing the yards there as it was a yard loss to Fletcher, a couple of yards from Mark Fletcher, then a penalty for the Hurricanes, which would be a false start, and an incomplete pass just did not result in a touchdown. Carter Davis with a chip shot to make it 13-0 for the Hurricanes. And another 3-and-out for the Gators. Our defense was awesome in the first half. They were awesome. Second half starts. A good drive. Okay, a good drive to start off. This is an 11-play drive that ended in a punt. And albeit very controversial. To me, a very controversial ending to this drive. So it starts with the 13-yard pass to Elijah Lofton. Good start right there. That results in a first down. Mark Fletcher for the 60-yard rush. 2nd and 4, Mark Fletcher again. 3-yard rush for Fletcher again, which results in a first down. Then he loses 2 yards, which will be a 2nd and 12. 8-yard pass to Keelan Marion for 8 yards. And a 3-yard pass to Malachi Tony. Okay? And then 4th and 1, Brown rushes for 3 yards, which is pretty good. Okay, which is pretty good. Except here's the problem. He was not down at all. The referees blew the whistle way too late. Way too late. Actually, not even way too late. Very early, I will say. The reason why I said late initially is because they waited too long to make the whistle, and then by the time what they could have done is blow the whistle if there was stop sudden movement. However, they blew the whistle after Brown broke through the tackle, even broke through the entire crowd. He broke through everybody. He broke through the scrum, he broke free, and he scored a touchdown. The referees blew the whistle after he shook off everybody. That's bullshit. That should have been 7 points for Jamar Brown. He was absolutely robbed from that touchdown. Robbed. If the results ended differently tonight, we would look back at this and what would be a different shift in momentum against the Canes. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. The rest of this drive was a 60-yard pass, and it just didn't. And for a while, Carson Beck had a really awful quarter since this drive, which would then lead to an adjusting offense from the Florida Gators. Now we talk more about the offense than we do with the Gators themselves. Jacoby Jackson for 27 yards. Okay, off to a bad start for our defensive stretch. Jackson again, 3 yards. Second and 7. DJ Lagway, completed pass to Vernell Brown. The third, that's 10 yards. Jaden Bach for 6 yards. Another rushing play for Jaden Bach for 11 yards. So now the Florida Gators are picking up first down after first down after first down after first down after first down. And most if not all of which are from running plays. The only exception of this drive was a pass to Vernell Brown, the third. That's it. All the other plays are rushing plays. Whether it's from Jaden Bach, Jacoby Jackson, or DJ Lagaway himself. And speaking of Jaden Bach, there he goes. He went in for a score for a 7-yard rush. The defense failed to make a tackle. They didn't stop them on fourth down either. That's bad. So now all of a sudden the Gators are back in this. One play for the Hurricanes. Beck threw a pick to Cormani McClain. McClain picks off Carson Beck. And all of a sudden the Gators are hot. Now I'm nervous. If there's any situation the defense has to come up and wake the fuck up, it's this one. This drive took all the way to the fourth quarter. Jaden Bach was 7 yards, and incomplete pass. 4th and 3, pass complete to Michael let me try to get this right. Michael Sturdivant, if I said it correctly. I don't think I got it right, but I think it's Sturdivant. Oh my goodness, Sturdivant. There we go, Sturdivant. I hope I got that right. Jaden Bach with 4 more yards. They picked up the first down, by the way. Bach with 4 yards. 2nd and 6. Lagaway gets sacked by Mohamed Tor. Loss of 9. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Passing to Lagaway's pass to Vernell Brown, the third. Again, this is 12 yards, which will then end the third quarter. 4th and 3. A 2-yard pass to T.J. Abrams for 2 yards. He was short. The chains come out, and he was short. And the Canes can take a little bit of a breather, knowing that they can still get this down the field. Problem is, Carson Beck is not throwing the football well, and they're making some weird plays that just didn't make sense. Like C.J. Daniels at a screen pass, and then letting one defender free. I don't like that play at all. And of course, it didn't work. Like, what are we doing, Beck? And what do we do in this offense? So it became a 3-and-out in a tight situation. The good news is the next drive against the Gators, it is a forced 3-and-out, which was awesome. So now we get the football right back. The problem is our offense has gotten ice cold. And another bad news, there's still a lot of time left. So if we don't pull this off, Florida can make this comeback, and then we're going to have a little bit of a problem. This is the type of drive where we need to get the first down. The good news is they made some adjustments, and the good news is they finally clicked again for the first time since the first quarter. It starts off with a 4-yard rush for Mark Fletcher, right? Then the next play, 16-yard pass to Jamar Brown. It was a one-hander catch, which was an awful throw by Beck. But Jamar Brown, with the way how the game he's become invincible. He had to reach in with his one hand to just snatch it and then get 16 yards out of it, which is awesome. 3-yard rush again to Jamar Brown. He is having his best game of his life. And in the back-to-back 6-yard plays, this is a 6-yard pass to, well, Jamar Brown. And then Jamar Brown with another 6-yard rush that gets him the first down. Passing it now from Beck is Elijah Lawton. That's a good pass. And a pretty simple pass. Fletcher goes up for 3 yards. Now you're giving Jamar Brown a break. And now Fletcher's running the football, and he gets an 11 yards out of this. That goes all the way to Florida 22. 6-yard rush is Mark Fletcher. I'm getting close to the touchdown. And then 10 more yards is Jamar Brown. He's back in. He gets 10 more yards out of this. And now it's first and goal at the Florida 6. Jamar Brown is pushing and pushing. 3rd and goal, and he gets one in. That ultimately seals the deal. Touchdown Canes to make it a 19-7 game. And yes, PAT is good for other PATs. This one is a 2-point conversion, and this 2-point conversion was incomplete. But regardless, we are still up 2 points. We're a little bit more comfortable now knowing that that the clock is not Florida's friend. There are still 4:08 left. They used most of their timeouts. Florida's offense has gotten smacked by the Canes defense, and Jason Taylor, the defensive back, the defensive coach. He's not a defensive coordinator. I think he's more of a defensive tackle? I forgot. I'm stupid. But he's loving this, Jason Taylor. Because Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor sacks DJ Lag away. And Jason Taylor loves it. And an incomplete pass to Eugene Wilson III twice in a row, which was one of those a 4th and 12. The Canes ultimately win this game. However, Mario Cristobal wanted to punish Florida. They wanted to punish Florida Gators. It's a rivalry game, and Mario was very much aware this is a rivalry game. So you know what they did? You know what they made them do? They made them score another touchdown. All rushes in this possession are all Mark Fletcher's. He got 22 yards in the entire drive. Mark Fletcher. One was this 4-yard rush, 16-yard rush, and another yard rush. He lost a yard, but he got a yard out of this, but he got another one, which would result in a touchdown. It is a exclamation point touchdown, and this would be the final score, 26-7, and Florida would do one more possession, and ultimately they turn the ball over on downs from an incomplete pass. They rushed 6 yards. You know you can kneel, right? The good news is they did kneel eventually. And there you have it. Florida 7-26 Hurricanes. And I'm sorry, if there's any team that deserves to be named with the Florida name, it's the Florida Panthers. And the Florida Panthers were in that game. Matthew Tkachuk was invited to College Game Day. People were upset that Matthew Tkachuk was chosen to be part of the invitation. Why are we upset about Matthew Tkachuk coming into College Game Day? I was not upset. I was happy that he was in. And he picked the Canes. He loved the Canes, and he picked it correctly. Man, the Florida Panther magic is just unbelievable. Anyway, all kidding aside, rivalry, beating the Florida Gators. Oh man, I can go to sleep happy, and I'm not joking. Happy. Miami Popeye was at this game. I'm so jealous. So I had plans to go to this game, and I just could not make it. I'm hoping for next time. I'm really hoping for next time that when Miami and Florida meet, I'm going. I gotta try to go to those games. Whenever if it's in Gainesville or in Miami, I gotta go. All right. I'm hoping that will happen eventually. I'm hoping they have a rematch next year, but it's so doubtful. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, Beck had an off night, but the defense and the running game was the reason why the Canes win this one. And once again, the Hurricanes, the number 4 Hurricanes, beating the unranked Florida Gators. They are now 4-0 to start the season, and I think they won 9 or 10 straight games at home. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable stuff, man. We can celebrate this victory. We're going to enjoy this victory. However, the next game, the Florida State Seminoles, this is going to be a much bigger game than the Florida Gators. Okay? Florida State came out of nowhere. They're now ranked 7th in the nation, 3 behind Miami, and it's undefeated. Did they play today? Let me double check. I want to see if they played today. They did, and they smacked. They smacked Kent State. Kent State is, and they also beat East Texas A&M, which is another FBS school. But the more impressive, it gets Alabama. Jesus Christ, nobody beats Alabama, but Florida State did. Florida State beat Alabama Crimson Tide. Yes, the Alabama Crimson Tide. The school from Toluca, I think it's how you say it. Let me double check. I forgot the fucking name of that city. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. Okay, it's Tuscaloosa. Okay. Tuscaloosa, Alabama. That school. Yes, Alabama, of course, rebounded, but you get my point here. Florida State has become dangerous. However, now they're playing against Miami. That's the good news. Okay, Miami can play against very competitive teams, unlike the Dolphins. Okay, they've beaten Notre Dame, which is a really good victory. They've beaten South Florida, another ranked school, and they've beaten Florida Gators. Florida initially, let me go back with the Florida Gators. The Florida Gators started the year ranked 15th, smacking Long Island, another FBS school based on Long Island, of course. Then they ranked 13th, and then very quickly they were unranked because the upset win by USF. That's why USF became number 18 in the nation, and then Miami kicked the crap out of them. So the good news is Miami can handle pretty much anybody. The bad news is, this is in Tallahassee. Tallahassee, a completely different environment than it is in Miami. We gotta be careful, okay? We gotta be vigilant. We gotta stay disciplined. It's going to be very high tense. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be a blood boiling game. It's going to be very exciting. But the problem is, it's going to be in Tallahassee. So we're going to be in a hostile environment. It's going to be in the enemy territory. It will not be easy. This might be a much tougher game than other games that we have played, especially more tougher than we did against Notre Dame. Mario Cristobal has 2 weeks to prepare this team, and I have a feeling this is going to be a national televised game. So let's prepare for this game, and I think we'll be okay. Anyway, guys, there you go. That's good to do with this one. Let's go, Canes. Screw the Gators, respectfully. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe for content, because Miami TVG has it back. And when he does, he'll be right there with the fear team is there. This is Miami TVG sign off, folks. Good night, everybody.